Beautiful souls, welcome. It is such a pleasure to be sharing today with you. Welcome to Self Love Sundays. As always, it is an honor to be holding space for you and answering the amazing questions that you guys have. Today, we're going to start by going deep into the topic of deeper aspects of self-love, psychologically, emotionally, and multidimensionally. So I'm going to just quickly set up my subtitles. I want to make sure we have subtitles going so you guys can have the subtitles. But following this video, I'm going to start the Spanish 30-day challenge to follow along with what we're doing here. So I know I have my beautiful Spanish audience sometimes asking about the videos, and we've been delayed in that. So I really appreciate your patience, and I'm so excited to start that with you guys. So I will be sharing on my website how to join. And also for all of you that are joining here in the English-speaking part of it, on my website, there is now a portal for you guys to sign up. In the events page. When you sign up, all of the previous videos will be documented there with the slides and supporting information for you to practice. So let's get started, guys. I want to start today by talking a little bit about the multidimensional aspect of what happens when the human body begins to actually love itself. And we kind of started talking about this topic a couple days ago. We talked about how love affects DNA and essentially how DNA is activated, how the body expands its expression when it comes into a state of deep unconditional self-love. So I want to shift a little, talk about the psychological aspect, the emotional aspect. When we experience profound states of self-love, there is a certain kind of gathering energy that is created, which is what we know as a more centripetal movement in the physical body, the multidimensional body, which is functioning like a vortex. So when the human body begins to move in states of love, and again, when we talk about love, we're not talking about romantic love or an externalized emotion towards something, directed towards something external. The love that we want to learn to cultivate is directed towards the internal, a deep reconnection, complete present awareness, being completely congruent with your thoughts, emotions, expressions, and very authentic, deep connection with the emotions that are coming in the body. And that requires presence. And one of the most difficult parts of experiencing the feeling of self-love and cultivating that, it's not so much a feeling that is cultivated just simply emotionally, that we feel affection towards the body. Actually, it's a state of deep, grounded, not neutral observation that isn't in a constant state of judgment or compartmentalizing parts of yourself, and having those internal wars. We tend to have very deep internal wars that we cultivate, and they're very subtle. We don't even realize that we have those kinds of judgments about ourselves until much later, when we begin to look at our relationship conflict, emotional conflict. And so the invitation in this work is really that we begin to review ourselves as humans and kind of question, why do we behave certain ways? What are the things that cause the triggers for us to respond and react in the way that we do? And the question is it really conducive of my fullest expression? Is it truly authentic? And then, is it truly aligned with my highest expression and my core authenticity? Because a lot of this work, what we end up finding is that a lot of the belief systems that we have are kind of borrowed or adapted or inherited belief systems about ourselves and others. And that creates a conflict that we don't really realize until much later, when we find ourselves in maybe 20-year marriages with partners that we're not aligning with, or careers that we're no longer happy with. We are constantly evolving and growing, and so should our connection with the deep, authentic self. And when we are surrounded in an environment that is reinforcing certain belief systems about ourselves, and we, without consciousness, we're not really understanding how we're contributing to those reinforced belief systems. We kind of box ourselves up into a very limited aspect. And this is usually why people end up feeling pretty deep depressions, disassociation with themselves, disconnect, anger, deep, profound hate, and resentment that then is kind of cultivated over time. So in order to change that and shift that in a very loving way, presence is the key. And to practice presence, it requires really some time, some training of the monkey mind that wants to be in survival. It wants to be in a reactive, responsive state to your external surroundings. It wants to be reactive to your own thoughts and your own emotions without having had time to really sit and integrate those emotions in a way that can be, very, very authentic, truthful, gentle, conscious. So the invitation is to create space in between your thoughts and your actions in a way that you can catch when you are going into responsive states of repeated unconscious repetition patterns that are not really so supportive to your authentic self. And this in itself is the embodiment of self-love in itself. And so that kind of constant work with energy, because every thought is an energetic expression, every emotion is an energetic expression, every intuitive feeling that you get about things, you are speaking and communicating with the universe, with your surroundings, with people. You are communicating energetically with your entire body. You are communicating with your emotions, with your energy. And every single thought is a different it's a change in the geometry of your physical body. Remember that, because our most powerful creative life force, other than your primordial life force, is your emotions. And that's what we are constantly using throughout our day to navigate and engage with our surroundings. So anytime that we start to first lack awareness of where our emotions are coming from, why those emotions are coming up, how we're using them, how we're exchanging them, this is where the invitation is for the human to come into a very grounded state of reconnection and observe mindfully, carefully, how we are moving our bodies. As I mentioned that every emotion is a different geometric form, that geometric form is designed by how we are moving emotions through the chakra system. Okay, so each one of your chakras is oscillating at a different vibrational frequency. It moves in and out of certain ranges of frequencies, I would say, from the lowest ranges of frequencies operating in the root chakra, sacral, solar, heart, throat, third eye. Those are the main energy centers of this physical body that bring together the particles in this holographic system through the morphogenetic field. But when we are not aware of how we are processing certain emotions through these systems, this is where we start to have stagnation of energy, blockages, illnesses, and we've talked about that a lot on this channel. But essentially, how we are working with the chakra body and how we are either using that energy, that frequency unconsciously in an imbalanced way changes the entire structure of your multidimensional body. And so this is why when we come into busy spaces and we tune into people that are energetically off or maybe really depressed and we pick up on that energy, we can feel it. And a lot of empathic people really tune into that in the physical body. And for those that have a vision to see, you begin to notice that the energy is more contracted, more condensed. All of you have different abilities in how to sense information. You are empathic in different ways, different parts of your senses, different senses. We have 5 main senses, but we have hundreds of little micro senses that we have, and our entire body is really communicating with our environment energetically. So the more aware you become, the more you become connected to those sensory aspects of yourself, and the information is clear. So your intuition becomes developed when you connect with the many sensory systems that you have in your body, which requires you to be fully in your body and connect with your physical body and allow that dialogue to occur. If you are yourself blocking your own connection to yourself because you have deep feelings of self-hate, rejection, anxiety, disconnect, maybe lack of acceptance, unworthiness, any number of these examples that we all know, this is where you are blocking certain parts of your entire body and the senses that are available through you there. Because again, the body is a multidimensional system. Everything is communicating with your environment. So what I have discovered through this work in meditation is that the more we sit in meditation, the longer that we sit, the more we begin to connect and understand that language that each part of our body communicates to us in the way that it communicates to us through the emotional body. And you also, over time in meditation, begin to understand the connection between how you store emotions in different parts of the body. Okay, that's also really important in this kind of healing work, and you will find that in your own work. Okay, so that being said, in order to begin to expand the dialogue of a more centripetal movement in the physical body, we want to clear up the blockages, as we mentioned, but to create that pulling force, that magnetic field that seems to occur when we begin to move in a centripetal state. This requires your attention to no longer be externalized. It requires your attention to be in the body, with your body, connected to your body. So let me go ahead and open up the PowerPoint here. We're just going to take a look at how that actually looks energetically in the body. And how can we start to cultivate this? Psychologically, this is the change that has to happen in order for us to cultivate self-love. As I mentioned, it's a process that goes both ways. First, in order to learn to love, you need to understand what that is exactly, okay? And that takes some deep shadow work. And reason why is because we need to understand first our filters of perception. All of us have different life experiences and models of love in our culturally and religious, in our families. And there are many things in life that contribute to the way that we understand love. But it's very few of us have ever really experienced unconditional love. And we kind of tune in to that, perhaps in parenthood, owning a little pet, where we are completely invested in the well-being of another. And that kind of dynamic is the dynamic that we need to learn with ourselves, that very deep, love, care, compassion, attention, communication. Those are things that we might think are very simple and obvious, but very few of us actually are practicing that consciously. And this is actually the cultivation of self-love requires you to do those things consciously. And I guess the work in the shadow is to unblock or to relieve yourself of the parts that you push away from being able to do that. That is the healing work. What happens in that process of understanding your traumas in your life is that you begin to understand the kind of patterns that you've been receiving ancestrally and that you're repeating, okay? And what that does, so your multidimensional body, the expression of your multidimensional body, the geometric expression that your body takes is all playing out those programs in geometric bioelectrical form. Okay, let me grab my presentation just to make it a little easier to understand here. Okay, let's start here, okay? How to create a centripetal spin in the body is basically what you and I are going to look at today in a very deep way. Because this is the connection to the psychological effect. Your body is made up of thousands and thousands of little micro vortices, which are points of energy in your body. They are vortices of energy that are toroidal fields. So vortices, okay, as you know, they're spinning wheels, but those spinning wheels create spheres. Okay, so the spinning wheel of the energy creates spheres like this. So every single one of those little particles in your body are oscillating to create these toroidal fields. You are made up of thousands and thousands of little toroidal fields. These toroidal fields, when there is a distortion in how you are holding the frequency, or when one of these toroidal fields begins to become stagnant or stuck or slow moving, it becomes blocked. Okay. So what happens, as we mentioned in previous videos, is that the energy cannot move through, and what is blocked is essentially thought forms. Thought forms are infused with emotional information that is life force, that is either moving at a very slow vibrational frequency, very dense vibrational frequency, heavy, or very fast fluid energy. When the body accumulates many of the energetic points, these vortices of slow, low frequency emotions, low frequency feelings, the life force cannot move through this physical body as fluidly as it should. And psychologically, this is also occurring. Let me put a color that you could see, because as the energy cannot move, the brain is deeply connected to the parasympathetic nervous system. And those are runways down your meridian lines in your body that allow you to communicate. This is an entire network of intercommunication. So anytime that we have, in the same way that the neurons in the brains are firing thought forms, reinforcing belief systems, thought forms, those are mirrored in the hologram of your entire body. But what we are now learning with understanding of the morphogenetic field, with the science that supports our aura, what we thought of as the aura, it's not just an imaginary, colorful field of energy that emits from your body. It is the morphogenetic field. It is a bioelectrical structure of memory. This memory is allowing you to navigate multidimensionally in waking state and in dream state. So anytime that any of these little vortices of the body begin to become stagnant, it's very difficult for the body to begin to move in its centripetal form. We actually become centrifugal, as you can see, because what happens is that the energy has to be redirected, and it certainly does not come all the way into the body. Remember that you are a fractal of source, and when you connect to your higher self, you open your gateway of source into your physical body, which animates life force into your life. Now, the human has different stages of intelligence and different stages of consciousness. When the human is unconscious and in a hypnotic state, disconnected from its present moment, its thoughts and its minds are busy imagining and hallucinating the past or the future, but not the present moment, then all of the life force that is available for you in and around you, it becomes very thin in how it's entering into the animation of your body. And, you know, we are such magnificent organisms. We are highly intelligent organisms. We function on very little, really, to get done the things in this life that we think we have to get done. But I want to remind you that the lives that we currently live, for the most of us, these are lives of a lot of survival, a lot of belief systems that we are separate from our true purpose. Rather, we're more connected with models that were designed for us to exist in this world. And the question is, are those truly harmonious to this organic being of consciousness? And we are waking up from a deep dream state in which we forgot what the human is, who we actually are. As we begin to wake up consciousness and remember, we begin to understand and reveal to ourselves that we are multidimensional beings that are a fractal of source. And our connection to source, essentially this life force that emerges from source, that enters into the body and moves our body. So these little triangles that I'm drawing here are two ends of your vortex, your toroidal field vortex. Okay, so remember, we're talking about your larger vortex because, again, you are made up of thousands and thousands, millions of little micro vortices that create the toroidal field, which then form the hologram of your physical body and are communicating with your multidimensional body. So the channel of life force that enters into the body becomes so thin when we disconnect from our intuitive abilities, when we connect with our authenticity, and when we are no longer in the present moment. The human really only has free will when they are fully present in the present moment, in order to be able to discern what is occurring in and around them. This would be the invitation of self-love, to love this organism, this multidimensional organism, is to deeply understand, to know it. To know it means that we understand what our life experiences as they are, as the stories that they are, as the experiences as they are, but then be able to see what we are also beyond that as a whole. And that is that you are a multidimensional being of many experiences. And psychologically, what that looks like, energetically, is a much larger expanded state. So what ends up happening when you begin to allow life force to move through the body is that you then begin to move your vortex in a way that is faster. The present moment and energetic hygiene allows you to remove the debris that are not letting your vortex move in a fast manner that is centripetal. Your ability to be in the present moment redirects all of your centrifugal energy that you were once depleting out of your body, now going inward towards you. Now, some people say, well, isn't this a very selfish way of being, that your mind is always just connected with yourself rather than the external? No, because this is a holographic system. You are projecting your external experiences. What happens to the human that is deeply engaged in the external is that it becomes hypnotized by the external because of the way that we function, mind, body. Our entire brain system, our brainwave systems go into hypnosis, where we are deeply disconnected from what is happening in and around our bodies. Most of us are just reacting to the things around us. So what ends up happening is that the human doesn't have really this choice. It's not really using its choice. So this is the direction of self-destruction. And there's many ways to destroy ourselves, as we know. We can destroy ourselves with illnesses. We can destroy ourselves with unconscious accidents that harm our body, our mind, our emotions. We can engage in relationships that are emotionally destructive. We can engage in emotional habits that betray our own self-knowing. There are many injuries that we cause ourselves in lower states of consciousness. And so this centripetal state of being is a redirection of all of that wasted energy in this empty effort of the human to believe that it is in a state of survival only at all times. Now, survival biologically is naturally, it's naturally edited into our DNA. It's naturally inscribed in our DNA. Our biology is designed for that. Naturally, it's instinctual part of ourselves. So in reality, that's not really something that the human has to preoccupy their entire existence around. In fact, when we don't connect with higher faculties, we actually become more fragile in this physical world of exchange. And energetically, we deplete life force in such a way that we are not able to engage in the environment in a way that is more supportive of the higher self to be integrated into the body. Why is the higher self important in the integration of the body? Because the human that is in states of repetition, of unconsciousness, is merely pulling from the pool of known pain, suffering, imbalanced states of consciousness of the DNA of the physical body, your ancestral history. That's where you get the majority of your information. Now, the problem with that is that, again, how many generations of repeating the same trauma have we experienced in our bloodline? Our parents, grandparents, ancestors repeating the same painful behaviors without going beyond the unknown, beyond those limited perceptions. So imagine that you, as a cell of consciousness on this earth, the way that you work is barely doing the functions to bring this organism of planet Earth into health. We're barely contributing to the well-being of health on this planet Earth. So what happens essentially is that the human becomes disconnected from higher knowledge, higher understanding. When we connect to the seventh chakra, which is located at right at the crown of our head, the crown of your head is the portal to allow you to connect to the DNA of the earth. Okay, this is what some call the Akashic records. It is the history of your ancestors, and it is the memory of your ancestors. Memory, it does not mean the past, by the way. It is a bioelectrical storage system of experiences that are available to this vessel. And the bioelectrical system of the body, the more that you become conducive, which means the more you become centripetal, the more you activate the memory in your body. That's why in meditation, the more you begin to remember traumatic memories of childhood, emotions of childhood start to come back up. Because usually what comes up is something that has been triggered recently as well. And it's a beautiful, you see, our mind is so beautiful. It's a beautiful invitation for you to work with. Your body is telling you what it's stuck with. It's telling you where the energy isn't moving in your field. It's telling you psychologically what needs to be alchemized energetically, because thought forms are bioelectrical charges, but thought forms oscillating at a certain vibrational frequency. And when the neural pathway is repeating and reinforcing that neural pathway, this becomes a filter of perception. But the human is navigating in a universe that is constantly evolving. So when the human doesn't allow itself to flow in the present moment in order to move along with this evolution, where it's deeply connected to earth, connected to nature, connected to its body, to its authentic expression, to its highest truth, and existing in harmony, we begin to fall out of harmony, obviously in ourselves and externally. So our life is filled with the imaginations of suffering and pain and destruction and the fear of the future, which never existed yet, has not even existed, has not even been created yet. So the human falls into these patterns of limitation, mind, body, and soul. Soul, because let's say that you die tomorrow, and remember that when you enter into the vortex of death, the vibrational frequency, all the information that you're holding in every cell of your body, in the organism, in the way that you are spinning your vortex, is dictating how you will navigate through this field. How, because energy is never eliminated. It is always reallocated. It's always moving. It's transformed. It's transformed from one form to another. And the form that you take on is informed by how you held your vibrational frequency in the body now. So if the physical body, so this is how ghosts are created. When a human is deeply attached to the physical world, deeply attached to its material things, all the pretty things it's collected through life, pains and sufferings, for example, as well, losses that have not been able to be accepted, pains, regrets, completely attached to the past. The vibrational frequency in the vortex, the way that the vortex spin of this human is moving, is not conducive to moving through a vortex that allows it to have a productive death. And that in itself is a cause of ancestral suffering, not just your own suffering, but you have generations of ancestors that, again, have also been challenged in this way. So what we want to learn to do in the embodiment of self-love, as you can see, moving through the vortex of death, when you have such heavy density in your body, keeps you attached. Let's say this vibrational frequency of this body is in a state of helplessness, hopelessness. And of course, the colors of these circles that I drew here as the dimensions of the body are not accurate. These are just in order to differentiate them for imagery purposes. But let's say that this frequency of the human body, which is, it's their primary energy, their primary system, it's their entire, remember I talked about vibrational signatures, right? We all have a vibrational signature. The vibrational signature is indicating to us where we're at in our evolutionary cycle. The vibrational signature is also part of our astrological archetype. Okay, so when we're born into this world, we take on certain astrological archetypes that allow to kind of guide you in terms of your, you can say your mission or your purpose, in terms of what you are transcending that has been repeatedly limited in your ancestral lineage. So every astrological sign for every child that is born in a family is helping open up the pathways of information, energetic history that run down the ancestral lineage. Let's say a scorpion is born. all of the most primal, all the highest lessons of the scorpion and all of the lowest lessons and limitations of the scorpion all speak to what needs to be cleaned or refined energetically in the lineage, because we are one. We are not separate from our ancestral lineage. So when you think of your life, you are a representation of all the ancestors before you, and you are also a portal into the manifestations of consciousness that are coming. And when I say coming ahead of you, we're also talking about dream states, okay? Because not only are we deeply connected with our ancestral lineage in this living state, but we're also connected to our lineages. We call them star lineages because we think of the stars or other galaxies as something separate and outside of ourselves. But in your DNA, you have encoded your starseed lineages, perhaps your Pleiadian lines or your Arcturian lines. These are simple, broad examples. Each of those lineages of your ancestral families, your interstellar ancestral families, all have their own vibrational signature, which makes up your overall signature. So as you begin to ascend, as you begin to move more in this highly conducive centripetal life force of energy, you gather yourself, all these parts, all these fractals. That's why we talk about the integration of your fractals being important. What is that simply? Is recovering memory in the 0 point. In the 0 point, can you recover the memory of all you have been and all you are becoming? That is the activation of DNA. So if you can recover the memory without going into an existential crisis, on and on, moving on, this is essentially, it speaks to how much gray matter you're cultivating in your brain and down your spine, but also how you're moving the vortex of your body through life in the present moment in the 0 point. So self-love is the deep understanding that every aspect of your thoughts, your emotions, is contributing to how you are moving this vortex. And this vortex can change in 1 minute. In 1 second right now, you can understand that your suffering is unnecessary and perhaps futile to the greater picture of yourself. And so you allow yourself to accept, integrate, and immediately the form, geometric form begins to shift. You can direct with yourself that your vortex moves faster, and you will very easily and immediately become aware of where your vortex can't move in your body right now. That's the kind of relationship we want to have with our body. So if you tune into your multidimensional body right now and you imagine your vortex, remember that imagination, and we need to dispel this misinformation that has been put out as a result of social engineering to disconnect us from our higher faculties. Imagination is not a fantasy. It is not something that is unreal. The human creative potential is so potent that you are creating in other dimensions with your thoughts and your emotions at different speeds of light. Because emotions are energy, they are frequency, and the speed in which you are moving those frequencies will dictate how you experience them and in what dimensional plane you are experiencing them in dream state. So as we learn how to move this vortex of energy in a faster manner, this is where we begin to shift. Self-love is the embodiment of learning how to be fully in the present moment, accepting all parts of yourself, integrating parts of yourself, and allowing yourself to move bioelectrically in a way that is deeply grounded and harmonious inside out. So I'm showing you the advanced mechanics of the multidimensional body to make this simple, psychologically, in order to love yourself, redirect the attention of your mind from the external to the internal and work on changing, alchemizing all of the blockages, psychologically, mentally, physically, that you might have in doing that. That in itself is the embodiment of self-love. And we are learning how to do this in order to bring ourselves in a more harmonious state of existence all around. So eventually, what creates in the geometric form, now our human bodies, we have many forms that we take on. Each vibrational signature creates a different vibrational form, which speaks to the dimension in which we can move through. Whenever the human body, the energetic field of the human body takes on a different geometric structure, that is how it bends light through its multidimensional body. And as you know, it'll depend on how you move from one dimension to another. So if we cultivate the Merkaba, for example, which is one of these forms that we can take on, we can access and travel many dimensions in our dream state. Our crown chakra, okay, which is connected to the DNA of the earth, allows us to recover the memory, and it serves kind of like a navigation pad to allow us to access different dimensions that are necessary for us. So that being said, this is why I invite you to become very lucid in dream state, because in dream state, you are visiting the lives and the experiences, however you might perceive and process those experiences, you are experiencing exactly what is needed for your soul to evolve. Now, for the person that is very has a lot of disruption, bioelectrical disruption, like watches a lot of TV or listens to a lot of music away from their deep internal connection, this will distort what you're receiving and how you're perceiving things. Okay, so our crown chakra is what we want to learn how to work with on a daily basis. When we are able to activate the crown chakra in a way that we can begin to, so that the crown chakra is the higher self. Let me start there. And let me show you how that actually works. When the human is creating from the root, the more primal aspects of ourselves, our vibrational frequency becomes very dense, very low, and our vibrational signature is just repeating ancestral programs and experiences. When we begin to activate the heart, as we talked about last time, clearing the heart, we come into coherence, not only with nature, but our family, friends, colleagues, all the people around us. We begin to come into coherence. When we begin to work with our crown system, our higher faculties, this is where we begin to activate our intuition. So every single one of these energy systems that is more overactive or underactive changes the geometric form of your body. We want to learn how to consciously move this information. And what happens eventually is that as we learn how to be aware of our energy systems and move the energy systems in a way that is fluid, and conducive of creative life force is that we actually become manifestors. We can heal the body. We become more intuitive. Essentially, we become more intuitive. So the 0 point is the center point of neutral observation. This would then help us to understand that bioelectrically, biologically, emotionally, energetically, the 0 point is the point in which we come into this harmony, from which unconditional love emerges for ourselves and all things around us. The higher self, which is encoded in this crown chakra, the DNA of the earth, when we expand the crown chakra, we begin to recover the memory of all that we are and use that information to project into our reality. Because the crown, again, is the projection of our experiences in this world. They are where we project into this reality what we are experiencing. If this is dormant, if this is unconscious, if this is blocked, and we have no access to the crown, we are creating from here, sometimes here, but most of us have these lower aspects of ourselves highly overactive. So that essentially is what creates a very slow moving vortex field, and we are disconnected from our environment. So this is the invitation. And today we're going to work on moving our multidimensional body in a way that is more fluid. Okay? So go ahead and get nice and comfortable. Thank you so much for joining the chat today. It is such an honor to share with you guys. If you guys have questions, put it in capital letters in the chat, those of you that are in my Zoom room, and those of you that are live on the YouTube, put it in capital letters. And if you want to join the Zoom, you just register through my website to participate, okay? All right, so let's all get very nice and comfortable. I want you to ground yourself. Drop into your body. Allow yourself to come into absolute stillness and silence. And begin to exercise the observer. Watch yourself in this moment, seated exactly where you are. And as you shift into this observer, let's go down to the center of the earth. I want you to create an energetic cord from your body all the way down to the central core of the planet. And just drop into your body. Bring yourself fully into the present moment. Breathing down into the base of the spine. Go ahead and focus on creating a sphere around your body made out of something completely impenetrable. So here's the first point where we're going to pay attention. If your energetic field feels like it has holes or tears or blocks, this is where we're going to want to pay attention first. So go ahead and tune into your field, and by now you should help yourself. Already, most of you will have a vision to be able to tune into your body immediately and notice where it's difficult to imagine your bubble around your body. That's where our attention is going to go. So let's go ahead and take a look at the body in the back, in the front, above, below, side to side, front to back, and just notice where is it difficult to imagine your energetic field around your body. Wherever it's difficult and challenging to imagine it, and your imagination in the front, for example, might be very vivid, very strong, very clear for you. It might feel like you can really kind of tune into that. But when you start reaching the back of your body, or maybe the top of your body, or underneath you, or sides, it might be very difficult. That is a clear indication that your energy field in that part of the body is dormant. It's been abandoned, it's been disconnected, and these parts of your body, which your multidimensional system, is not processing consciously your environment. So bring your attention to those parts, and you're just going to refine your what you are sensing in that space. So some of you might be very visual, you see it, some of you might sense it, some of you might know it, some of you might feel it. Whatever sense is more developed for you, that's what you will use to communicate with your energetic space. Go ahead and repair the space around you. If you see cracks, holes, if you see tears, if you see blockages, debris, go ahead and create the sphere around your body and simply by doing this exercise, you begin to move your vortex. Okay, it's the first step, but you'll notice that in just a minute. Wherever you feel difficult to close your sphere, just go ahead and eliminate remember that because you are a toroidal field, energy is moving out underneath you and also above you. So use that movement of your toroidal field to push out any kind of stagnant blockages in your body. If you feel stagnant blockages in the back, imagine that it is all melting or dissolving down to the center of the earth. You are the master of your body, so learn how to move your energy. And use your intuition, whether it's easier for you to push it down out of your body or up out over the crown of your head. Either way, we are working in the field of consciousness, which everything is connecting to source. So what you're doing when you do this imagination of moving something out of your body is you're alchemizing it back into unconditional love. So whatever frequency it might be, it could be very dense, you can see a color, you are transmuting it into white light. Every time that you push something through a vortex out of your body or above you, you direct it to eliminate out. You are alchemizing it into a higher frequency, which is unconditional love. So it's whatever energy state that is, it's turning into white light, essentially. That's what you're doing. Go ahead and push, clear it out of your body. Emotionally, you should be in a state of complete neutral observation, watching your organs, how they are responding, your nervous system, your body. And coming into as much of a relaxed, neutral state as you can. You'll notice that your mind quiets much more when you are grounded. And so does your energy body. So let's begin by going into reading state. I want you to fill your room with a gold light, wherever room you're in. Fill it with a golden light. You can imagine that the air is turning gold, or you can imagine every single wall, ceiling, and floor is turning to gold, creating a space of healing for yourself in this moment. Let's go ahead and start to work with the root chakra at the base of the spine. Go ahead and shrink the root chakra down to the size of a dime. Remember, this is a double-sided vortex. We're just shrinking it down to the size of a dime, the root. It doesn't mean it stops working. It just means you are lessening the flow of imbalanced energy that could be moving there. Imbalanced energy, maybe overactive or even underactive, we are bringing it back into a balanced state. So imagine shrinking, like the aperture of a camera, you are shrinking down the expansiveness. You can imagine that it's shrinking down into a marble. You can imagine closing the doors, whatever feels real to you and easy. Let's go up into the sacral chakra, once again, shrinking down to the size of a dime. You're going to notice a massive shift in your energy and also your thoughts. This will quiet the mind, especially the analytical mind, because it's like as if you see a flowing faucet. You are turning and closing that faucet down from its staticness or its flow. So go up into the solar plexus in the same way, shrinking it down to the size of a dime. Going to go up into your heart now, and we're going to expand the heart chakra. Go ahead and visualize expanding front and back, opening the center of unconditional love. Let's go ahead and go up into the throat chakra, expanding the throat, expanding the third eye, go up into your crown now. In the same way that you might have felt some blockages shrinking it, you might feel opening it. So pay attention once again to where you feel blocked in your field as you expand. Very good. Let's go ahead and bring green earth energy up into the body, creating a vortex of energy at the central core of your body. Green earth energy comes into the body, begins to rotate in the lower half of your body. It's absorbing in through the feet, the shins, the calves, the knees, up into the solar plexus, and rotating. From source, go ahead and pull down a powerful wave of gold cosmic energy down to the crown of your head, combining with the green earth energy. Breathing. Go ahead and take 10% of that. You're going to send it back down to the center of the earth, green and gold energy, anchoring source, cosmic energy into the earth, healing your body and also healing the earth. Go ahead and take 80% of this combination, green and gold, up your spine from the crown of your head, coating the outside of your bubble now. Go ahead and take that final 10% green and gold energy, absorb it into your body, into the pores, the flesh, the muscles, the bones, down to the cellular level of your body. This is the embodiment of self-love, where you're beginning to direct this healing energy as you connect to the parts of your body that require more attention, more love. You're going to direct that energy intuitively. That process of reconnection is the embodiment of self-love. So if you can notice what that feels like emotionally, physically, mentally, psychologically, this is the kind of connection that I invite you to carry out throughout your day. Go ahead and infuse your body with that green and gold energy into every cell. You'll notice that you begin to feel a certain feeling of joy, certain feeling of peace, certain feeling of love, affection towards yourself, kindness, compassion towards yourself. This is the development of self-love. And this is the entryway into the 0 point. So let's go ahead and see our bubble, and we're going to clear out any debris that we've been holding on to in the 13 layers of our body over the past week. So go ahead and tune in to the 13 dimensional layers of your body. So your sphere is made up of these 13 layers, and you're just going to gently clear them out. Again, notice if you want to send stuff down or out, up through your head, to the crown of your head. You'll notice that your heart expands or has a capacity of expanding a little bit wider as you clear your space. This is a really fantastic way for you to understand how your energetic body is moving faster. Okay? Let's begin by taking a look at the emotions that we have experienced over the past 24 hours. Notice what is the strongest emotion over the past 24 hours. We're going to start there. And as you are completely present with that emotion, allow yourself to observe the emotion in your body and name out the emotions that come up. If you are not very connected with your emotions, I want you to name the physical sensations as emotions. So let's say you feel a tightening around the neck, feels like choking. You can describe that as you have a feeling of suffocation. And then you might realize that that feeling of suffocation is a emotion of helplessness. Okay, so that's just an example. Tune into your body and see what is true for you. Okay, as you acknowledge the strongest emotion, I want you to be absolutely present with that strongest emotion. Observe it in your body. Okay, as you name out the emotions, identify the strongest of this list now. And be absolutely present with that emotion in your body, the strongest of that list. Go ahead and take yourself back to the very first time that you've experienced this emotion in your life. You can go as far back as the womb to identify it. Go ahead and focus on yourself in this memory and immediately pinpoint what you are feeling in that moment. Take a look at yourself. Observe the emotions that come up for you. You can name them out. Go ahead and notice the strongest of that list. Be absolutely present. Notice what part of your body tenses up when you sit with this emotion. And go ahead and name out the emotions that come up for you as you sit presently with this emotion. Go ahead and observe, what is it that you needed from the other in that moment? As you begin to observe these emotions, you're going to redirect the attention towards yourself. What is it that you need from yourself in that moment? Take a look. And allow yourself to provide yourself with everything that you needed in that moment. Infuse this younger version of yourself with everything that is required from you, both yourself and the other. And just observe how you begin to transform. And as you begin to observe this, begin to notice what happens if you play this scene over again, but you have received everything that you require. Take a look and see what happens. How does it change? How do others change or respond differently or react differently, if at all? Just notice what happens. Begin to tune in to the other. Notice the pattern that is being repeated in this experience. I want you to begin to observe down your ancestral lineage. How many generations have you been repeating this same pattern? You in your role in your participation, and the other in their role in their participation. As you begin to observe this ancestral lineage, I want you to see all your ancestors in front of you. What is it that they need in order to no longer exist in this repetition of this pattern? Very good. Go ahead and allow them to leave your space. I want you to inhale deeply, taking back your life force into your body. And go ahead and focus on yourself now. As you begin to notice all the fractals of yourself in this lifetime that have repeated this pattern, take a look at all of the fractals of yourself that have played out the same emotional pain, emotional trauma, emotional belief system in your life that you have just discovered in this experience. You can see younger versions of yourself, older versions of yourself. Maybe you are surprised by how many times you've been repeating this in your life. Allow all these fractals of yourself to begin to absorb exactly what they needed in that moment now that you have understood. Meet the needs. As you begin to see them transform and change, notice a couple of those scenarios and just observe from afar what would have changed if you were complete with everything you needed in that moment. How would you have changed? How would the others have changed in those experiences? Notice what's different. It can be very subtle changes of mood, of emotions, of understanding, or it could be really strong changes in the reactions. Allow yourself to integrate all these aspects of yourself into one in front of you. You're going to shine your crown light on top of them, and you're going to see a room full of karmic contracts, all the experiential agreements you have made coming into this life to experience these repeated patterns in the times in which we did not understand what self-love was. Allow yourself to eliminate those contracts in that room. Just empty that room out completely. Shine your crown light on top of those contracts and eliminate them. As you empty out that room, you're going to fill that room full of your crown chakra color. Color that is your crown. Very good. Go ahead and inhale deeply, taking back the fractals into your body. And allow yourself to fill your body with exactly everything you need in this current present moment. Some of you might need more grounding. Some of you might need more presence, connection, communication, silence, love, affection. Whatever it is, acknowledge what you need and fill your body with that now. Silence your analytical mind or the monkey mind and focus in the present moment. We're going to begin to work with opening the root chakra back into a balanced state. The sacral, opening it. The solar, the heart, you're going to close it just a little bit. The throat, close it just a little bit. Third eye, close it just a little bit. Your chakra should be in a perfect line, a little broader at the top. And you're going to activate your crown. Go ahead and activate your crown, expanding your crown. It's a giant sphere all around your body. Very good. Go ahead and go up into your seventh, your eighth, activate the ninth, the 10th. So when I say activate gently, it just means open the chakras. You are bringing your awareness and your intention to the higher dimensional aspects of your own self. This allows you to open source through your own frequency as you're shifting your frequency. Allow you to embody more of your higher self. Go ahead and open the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th chakra, 14th chakra, 15th chakra, 16th chakra, 17th chakra, 18th, 19th, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And above you is a powerful white lattice source. Go ahead and bring that source light down into your body. Anchor it down into the heart, down into the perineum, down into the center of the earth. As you bring yourself back into the present moment, go ahead and open your eyes. Continue to see the sphere around your body. Continue to see the connection into the root of the planet and your chakras in perfect alignment. Excellent. You guys did amazing. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It was an honor to share space with you. I'm just going to jump into the chat here to see if there are any questions really quick, and then I will let you enjoy your beautiful Sunday. James, great to see you. Jason, awesome to see you. Darina, thank you. Positive energy, wonderful to meet you. Elmore, welcome to see you. And Joanne, thank you. Darina says, how do I behave lovingly towards stressed, constantly shouting and controlling own grown-up daughter? None of the ways I learned I can transmit and help with because she doesn't listen at all. Okay, so with our children, there's certain things that we need to take a look at, and most of the work that we can do is mostly internal rather than external in this case, okay? And here's why. You know, when our children are growing up and when they're going especially through puberty or when they're already in their teen ages and around these ages that are a young adulthood, they are just discovering themselves and finding their place in the world and in themselves. And so whatever conditioning they have received as a child will contribute to how they feel about how they in the world, their emotions, how they're holding space for themselves or not, how they're handling relationships external to them or not. All will depend on the ancestral programs. Oftentimes, when there are a lot of deep traumas, pains, and sufferings that have not been addressed internally in our relationships with them as children in the family, these will really come up when they're going through this phase of connecting with the outside world. So as a parent, the invitation is that we observe we observe quietly. And the more we come into connection with ourselves and intuition, you can kind of tune in to what, and you, of course, as a mother, can really intuit in terms of the deep emotional needs that are not being met. Okay. But all that just as an observation, not so much in order to interfere or to change any of that experience. And here's why. The invitation is that in our own meditation, we begin to review some of the patterns emotionally that we're observing. The things that trigger you the most in her will begin to uncover some of the underlying themes that are occurring psychologically and emotionally in the family unit during this moment of evolution for her and for you as well as a soul. So the invitation is that you can begin to notice the things that trigger you in meditation. Take a look at the root cause of that, the root triggers in that. And if you get to the root of that, you will begin to understand what was missing in your own experience, because what's happening is that she's mirroring some kind of unresolved programs in the family lineage. And if you can access that in your own meditation, just by observing your own trigger, the information is in the trigger. Okay, all the memories, all the history, everything you need to know is in your trigger of what is happening there. Okay, and it's for everyone. For her, if she were to do the work, the same work, it would be in her trigger. She would find the answer. Okay, but where you would find resonance is that the resonance is the trigger. Whatever is being really triggered in that moment for both of you, that is the lesson, that is the invitation to alchemize in your bloodline at this time. Okay, so as you find that root and you begin to notice what needs to be met, what needs need to be met for you, you will understand how to hold space for yourself when she's reacting in that way. This will change your vibrational frequency, and we will learn how to hold space. Now, for children, a lot of times as parents, we want to be very loving for the child, right? So love in the way that we know it sometimes isn't all the way that love should be. Sometimes love can be very stern. Sometimes love can be very strict. And sometimes the most loving thing is the most uncomfortable thing for all people in that environment. So it requires a lot of courage, and I'll talk about that next time. But to love, to really truly love, is a really state of 0 point. It's a state of absolute freedom, non-attachment, in alignment with what is most harmonious, most in alignment with truth for all beings there. So as a parent, the only invitation that we have is to work with that and to cultivate that internally and to hold space as best as we can. This will model vibrational frequency and the way that we communicate, in the way that we hold space, in the way that we speak, in the way that we ask questions like, how are you? Or what's going on? Or, hey, what's happening? Just even in the way that we communicate, it will transmit that deep inner understanding that we're cultivating in ourselves. Okay, so I understand it's really difficult, and we want so much for them to feel certain ways, be certain ways, but they are going through this process of birthing. It's like they're going through this really tumultuous chrysalis breaking into this adult state of being, and that is very painful and very difficult because it's very shifty. They're not sure where is the grounding. So we have to kind of model that grounding because it's not really seen in the world outside of us. Okay, so I'll stop there. I'm sure there's a lot more that I could say. Inga says, Geraldine, your lessons every Sunday is a huge gift to us. Thank you so much. Love you, Inga. I appreciate you being here more than you know. Lourdes B, thank you so much for being here. Shahala Nur Al-Din says, how can we manifest the best version of ourselves from a different realm in this lifetime? So really, the invitation is to focus on your life in the present moment now. And it's really important that we focus on that, because with the amount of information that there is in the world today, we really want to externalize our spiritual practice. We want to follow gurus. We want to follow channelers, they want to follow aliens, they want to follow all these things that are fascinating and exciting and wonderful. The invitation is that you focus on you, cultivate your channel, cultivate your information, your connection to your higher self, have an open dialogue with your higher self all the time, as much as you can. This is where you will receive the gifts, visions, informations, downloads necessary from whatever realm is within you that you need for your journey, for your healing of your ancestral lineage. The priority number one is the healing of your ancestral lineage. When you heal the whatever patterns you're repeating from your ancestral lineage, that will unlock the memory of the gifts that come from the ancestral lineage. You know, we have a lot of powerful gifts in our ancestral lineage for healing, knowledge, and wisdom that isn't written in books. It's cultivated over time, over generations. And those are things that are encoded in the DNA. So as we heal, we uncover that memory. And for those of you that are interstellar, in your dream state, having contact experiences, you know, or maybe being taught by or communicated with or downloaded information of advanced civilizations, you will open the pathway to receive that information and that knowledge as well. And the whole purpose of that is for you to come into your highest alignment and the service, deep integration and love to yourself, and then to be of service to humanity from that point on. So that is essentially the invitation of that, okay? Put your questions in capital letters, please, everyone. Thank you so much. Luke, welcome. Wonderful to see you. Tor, Nicholas Gabel, great to see you. Christy Campbell, hello. Brent, thank you for the birthday wishes. Love you. Thank you so much. Alchemist Alexander, thank you so much for your beautiful super chat. That really means a lot to me. Thank you. Peter Carr, thank you so much for that generous super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Brent is asking, realizing I've spent almost 5 decades self-sabotaging every opportunity and every relationship I've ever had, and now feeling guilt, shame, and regret, how to deal with this pain. Completely understand, Brent. Acceptance. That is the love, okay? And that point that you're in right now is one of the most powerful points of the process of cultivating self-love. Because the true warrior of light is the one that sees all of his flaws, his or her flaws, all of the pain that they have caused inside and outside of themselves, and learns to be compassionate. Compassionate for the journey, compassionate for the pain that we caused, and learn to take accountability. This is the forging of the metal into the gold, because through your body, as you absolutely accept, acknowledge, deeply understand, and take responsibility for those things that we have done in the past and might be continuing doing, will allow us to really truly understand what love is. And this also is the formula for unity consciousness, because in this prior state of being, where we might have been self-sabotaging, hurting, our perception is very myopic and it's very separate. It's all based on separation, me and the other, and the survival of that, right? This ability to look at what we have done, taken responsibility, helps us to broaden our perception of our myopic vision. If our vision is super contracted, we're always going to see things as separate. You're going to see yourself as the victim, or you might see yourself as the perpetrator of the abuser. All of that is still in these separate mind fields, filters of perception, okay? So to shift that is to feel profound compassion for the other, because you also have to observe, why did you behave that way? We don't become self-sabotaging because we're terrible people. We become self-sabotaging because we have grown up in environments where we didn't experience nurturing or self-love, confidence, worthiness in our parents, in our environment, in our siblings. Perhaps there was jealousy, there was insecurity. So all we did was continue to do what is familiar. And we repeat that over and over. You need to really see deeply and understand that about yourself, about your family lineage, about your, your environment as you developed into an adult. So when we are not shown anything other than what we know, of course, we're going to spend 50 years of our life repeating the only thing we know. So we need to forgive ourselves. We need to understand and forgive perhaps parents or the environment, because helps you understand the illusion of the human experience. We think parents, for example, are the ones that were supposed to know everything. They were supposed to know all the right ways of being, right? That's the idea, the illusion that we get. And I also want to mention that in this process, you'll notice that social engineering plays a really powerful role in creating really silly illusions about family systems that really create deep compartmentalization and confusion. Every single human, even the parents, are souls going through evolution. The fact that they had children doesn't mean that they have reached a high level of enlightenment or even understood self-love. So we have to be able to see that and have compassion for our fellow brothers and sisters that are going through the process of evolution. This skin suit with the name of daughter or mother is just a temporary human archetypal experience, one of many that we have to experience. In our life, we can be mother, father, child, brother, sister, all of these archetypal aspects of ourselves that we take on, the roles that we take on, will help us, when we shift perception, come into unity consciousness. So we grow, we mature into this understanding that we forgive ourselves for the temporary unconscious behavior that we had based on our environment. That compassion that you feel for yourself and for the other is the unifying force of unconditional self-love that will guide you into never repeating that again in your life. Because you will understand the suffering and pain it caused mother and father, caused you, brother, sister, wife, husband, whatever it is, repeating these patterns in order for us to really own who we really are. And here's the other part, Brent, that we are learning what we really are. And we are none of those things. And you're also all of those things. But at the core of the self-sabotaging person that we've been is those are just masks that we wore in order to survive. Underneath that is the 0 point. It's the essence, it's the soul. You are a light. So the more you can shift your perception to seeing yourself as a light and to seeing others as lights, not the form and the names and the labels that they put, the easier it is to understand where we get mixed up in the energy exchange of human experience. Okay, and that allows you to embody a profound level of compassion for yourself. And so in addition, that maturing, essentially, the key is that we practice presence in our now moment and meet the needs of the inner child that was scared, that was wearing the mask constantly, consistently. You're going to meet the needs of that child, the one that was sabotaging. Let's, in your example, this limited example of many, could be this child that sabotaged themselves. What did they need? Maybe they needed acknowledgement. Maybe they needed love. They needed protection. Maybe they needed to know they're worthy. So we're going to focus now on meeting the needs, and we're going to cultivate self-worth, have integrity, mind, body, and soul in our actions, hold ourselves accountable. Integrity is the embodiment of self-love. That's going to be another video. But essentially, that cultivation is what makes you do things that make you proud of yourself, proud of being human, proud of being alive, proud of the actions that you're taking. Heal the wounds that are happening with that guilt, the shame, the regret, because you notice, the shame and guilt and regret become alchemized when you begin to understand the bigger picture of things. Okay. And essentially, compassion is the key to the most truth, to be sitting in truth from a place of compassion is the key. And one last thing I'm going to mention, that this work is not for the faint of heart or the person that's just doing it just to, I don't know, pretend that they're spiritual. You cannot pretend in this work. This work really requires you to get into your shadows. And your presence speaks for itself. Okay, so the presence that you give to the world will speak for itself. So yeah, Brent, I hope that helps. Dalton, great to see you. Nicholas, thank you so much, Nicholas. Luke, thank you. Thank you so much. Pono, J-Zen. Yes, Inga, thank you so much. Inga, thank you for that super chat. Love you. Thank you so much. You guys, your super chats really help me so much. So I am deeply grateful for that. Chris says, are you hopeful about the future of humanity? If so, what makes you most hopeful? Yes, I am, Chris. And, the interesting thing is taking a look at, here's the thing. Every human has free will, but what I see in the future is that if we guide this technology, if we guide and we do the internal work that's needed at this time in order to be these deeply working, deeply connected beings of light, that we will live in profound harmony with nature and technology and be able to achieve a life and a way of living that's beyond our dreams. And right now, some of you have this dream of being deeply connected with your source and to be of service to humanity and be in harmony with nature. But soon, a lot of people around the world are going to have that. And to get to that point, they need to see what the opposite looks like. Some of you are already doing that work internally. And so there's a lot of destruction that will occur. Do not be afraid of destruction. The way that you're not afraid of destruction is doing the kind of work that Brent's doing. Taking a look at his own shame, his own guilt. That is the forging of your nervous system into a regulated nervous system. But if you don't get past that point, you're going to be a nervous wreck for every little thing. We right now don't want to be like a candle in the wind that is moving with every little blow, everything that is said in the news, everything that's put out here and there, UFOs, aliens, spirituality, whatever it is. We want to maintain the 0 point. That's what's true, and that's what will carry us through this tumultuous time of change. The basics. The basics. Come into the 0 point, be grounded in your body, come into integrity, cultivate self-love, prioritize your internal peace, do things that cultivate peace and healing. Learn to heal yourself. Learn to trust yourself. Learn to trust yourself, because anytime that you are doubting yourself, your power to heal yourself, your power to overcome things that are happening, that's when you begin to weaken your field, energetically. And that is what a lot of these systems are going to want to promote right now, to herd people in the direction of dependency on an external intelligence. I can tell you right now, there is no artificial intelligence that is greater than yours. None. It doesn't matter what they are hiding or doing. They cannot match the intelligence and the technology that resides within this organic advanced system. We are hybridized race, highly sophisticated hybridized race of consciousness. And yeah, so we have a tremendous amount of power in terms of the fact that we can create life. We create life not only in this dimension, we create life in many dimensions. You're creating with every aspect of yourself. And it's a slower density universe. So we have time to apply free will in a compassionate manner. We can change our mind. We can change our path into something that is more productive and more conducive for humanity. So, we are young. We're a young human race, but we're highly advanced. And we're learning. We are learning together how to become compassionate. So what I see in the future is that for some time, there's going to be a little bit of witch hunts like there were back in the day, where those people that had knowledge are going to be highly sought after. People that have really high intuitive abilities are going to be very sought after, because they're going to want to learn that. They're going to want to learn that. And nothing can mimic that. Okay, so a lot of us in this community are going to create on top of the rubble of what is the old system. We're going to teach and hold space for learning how to live in harmony with your abilities in a state of peace. Because the average person that doesn't know about psychic abilities or telepathy, they're going to be very afraid. They're going to be very afraid. They're afraid of the unknown. They're afraid of what can happen. They're afraid of everything. And they're still thinking through the matrix mind. And that's okay. We have to lovingly hold space and be an example of stability and a deep sense of connection. And that's something that will help guide. But in the future, technology will provide beautiful homes of great advanced energy, great advanced technological support that will help humanity focus on healing the earth, healing ourselves, and healing humanity, elevating into a higher state of evolutionary consciousness. So I do have, I don't really have high hopes. I have an understanding of potential timelines. And the invitation is that you connect with your higher self to see what's happening. But in order to channel information, clean out the gunk, clean out all the pain, the suffering, so that you can have as clear as a message as possible. That's what we should be listening to, our higher self. And that's where our trust and our hope should come from. Okay? All right. Power Hyman, great to see you. Powell Hyman. Together with Luz says, how can I heal autoimmune diseases in the physical body? I have addressed a lot, but it feels like there's something deeper isn't yet accessed. So yeah, so about illnesses, there are some immune illnesses that are ancestral. Okay, so it could be that in this lifetime we have chosen to exist with illness in order to really heal the deep wounds that we have done before about our gifts, about our limitations, perceived ideas of not being good enough, to transcend them. So, go outside of the comfort zone in terms of your presence here. If your autoimmune diseases, if we believe that they're limiting our ability to serve yourself and serve humanity in a way that's constructive and harmonious, try to focus on these aspects of ourselves and embody deep love. Learn how to spin that vortex as fast as possible to bring the body into highest harmony as possible. And mentally and psychologically learn to regulate the nervous system, because the immune system depends a lot on how you're using your emotional energy. Next step is to work with your sexual energy, primordial energy. Redirect that energy into healing for the body. Feel deep love for yourself and come into ecstatic states of reconnection with your higher self. This is going to alchemize the ancestral wounds that are taking place. Okay. And if you need more support, just let me know. Okay, time for a couple more questions, guys. Let's see, Marija says, how to determine my life purpose. Yeah, so to determine your life purpose, I mean, again, I don't believe in one purpose or one mission. We have many, many purposes, many, many things to do here. We got a lot to do. One of those things is to heal your ancestral unconscious patterns. So I would always direct people to start there, because when you start healing those unconscious patterns, like for example, in the example earlier about self-sabotage, for example, imagine where we would be if we were not self-sabotaging, right? Our entire life can change. That's super huge. Okay, so right there is an entire life path that can open up just in that shifting of how we are handling the self-sabotaging behaviors, okay, or guilt and shame, how they play a role in contracting our creative life force, our ability to communicate, our express, to go get what we need, right? So this work is in connection to the last question about, do I see hope for humanity? Humanity will reach where they need to reach when they come into alignment with their highest purpose, when they heal their ancestral lineage, when they come more deeply in alignment with their purpose, and when they begin to come from that love that's beyond just self-serving behavior. You know, am I surviving? Am I paying my bills? Am I, just the self-serving ego into, I am a source of love. I act and behave in a way that's congruent with my core belief systems, my ethics, deep ethics, right? We talked about ethics before. When we're alignment with those deep ethics, we begin to see where we have fallen off track. Whenever we fall off alignment with our ethics, we start to betray ourselves, we start to hurt ourselves, damage ourselves. So we have to come back online. So that continual work is what will help you, because in the process of doing that, you begin to uncover gifts, your intuition, but also, more importantly, you live more harmoniously. Just the fact that you're living harmoniously with yourself and your environment is a purpose. That's a purpose. That's a tremendous purpose. If 50% of humanity would do that, trust me, we would not be where we are today. Okay, so in that simple thing, so please start in that way. And then, of course, more along that line, cultivate your intuition. Your intuition, your connection to your higher self will always take you to the places you need to be at the time you need to be, with the people you need to be, in order to more greatly serve the higher purpose of this organism, because there is an intelligent self-organizing mechanism to the consciousness on this planet. And when we're asleep, we don't catch those messages. But when we wake up, we listen and we follow through, and then we always end up serving in a greater manner. So that's another way, okay? Paula Oviedo says, yesterday the energy was so strong that I felt that my body was breaking up. Which emotion is that? Desperation, not knowing what is happening. What is the opposite emotion? Peace, trust, the universe. Yeah, I would say really all of them, but I mean, there's so much here that we could talk about. First of all, feeling foreign energies or energies that we feel like we can't control, just in itself, that belief system is something that needs to be looked at, because I bet we have that belief system with many aspects of our life. So, we need to change the framework, essentially, of how we're looking at these experiences. This is exactly the relationship with the unknown that we need to learn how to cultivate. So we fear the unknown, we fear the energies of this space, time and space, the universe, the sun. When we come into harmony with ourselves, we cultivate a state of peace, because we know that we're not the physical body, and that no matter what happens, we are fine. That cultivation of that deep trust in yourself is something that is cultivated by showing yourself, proving to yourself that. And you prove to yourself by having integrity. You are congruent with your thoughts, your actions, your emotions, and you behaving in a way that you are, exchanging in that way with yourself and the world around you. So there's a lot of ways to answer that. I guess essentially trust is one of them, the cultivation of trust. But also, I would say the two main emotions in this universe are fear and love. These are the two very interesting emotions. So in that moment, we tapped into a fear because it's the unknown. To alchemize that fear is to love. So let's say that you were experiencing energies. First of all, I will mention that, cosmic energies affect our physical body more. We feel it physically because we are more dense. So remember, spectrum of frequencies in your physical body. If your frequency of your body is really, really dense and heavy, the light cannot bounce off, right? So what happens is that essentially it becomes a resisting force. And that creates contrast, which makes us feel more. So we need to come into the 0 point, especially at this time when we have all kinds of energies in the universe that are going to be affecting us. The more 0 point you become, the more light you become, the more energy you become, the more these energies move through us in a way that is more fluid, less affecting the physical density of the body. So we can direct our energy. We can become more dense or we can become more light on demand based on the frequencies that we're holding in our body. That's something that not a lot of people talk about, but it's talked about and practiced in martial arts, for example. If you throw energy at my left shoulder right now and I'm resisting, I'm going to feel it. I'm going to feel hot energy here. I'm going to feel resistance. I'm going to feel this energy that explodes, that my throat is going to feel like that. But if I come into a subtle energy movement and I allow your energy to move through me, it doesn't affect. In fact, you're going to feel like you're throwing energy and you're not hitting anything because energy needs to bounce off something. So this is true in resistance states, psychologically, collectively, emotionally. We can change and move our energy in a way that is more harmonious. That's what I mean by harmonious. Anytime that we are in resistance or fearful or doubtful or confused, of course, our energy is going to become more dense and it's going to get hit hard with those movements. So the invitation is to move through, okay? Inga says, I wish one day I can hug you and say big thank you for everything I've learned for you. Big hug back, Inga, big hug back. Powell, Luke, thank you. Shahala Nur al-Din, do you anticipate a big, imminent transformational event happening? I mean, how much bigger a transformational event? We have so many transformational events right now that are happening in the world. Wars, the political shifts. There's so much happening in this universe right now. So, try not to look for them. The more that we hope there's going to be something massive, there will. But if we focus on ourselves and we go inside, we help move the energy in a more subtle way for everyone, okay? Remember that we are powerful manifestors, okay? But I don't think we understand the power of our manifestation. Wherever energy goes, wherever our attention goes, that's where energy is directed. So to be compassionate. So when we're kids, we're all over the place, right? Terrible twos, running around, touching everything, going everywhere, thinking of anything, curious, don't know what the consequences are, fall off the bed, jump off the thing, without any idea what's going to happen, right? So we're kind of in that stage right now. Humanity is like that terrible two toddler that is just, we're curious. Curiosity kills the cat, meaning that curiosity is the energy that when it's the unknown, we want to go explore, right? But the human that is more compassionate, more connected with themselves, meets the needs of the ego. The ego is curious, but within an understanding of potential outcomes, and understands that if it puts its energy there, it's going to cause change reactions in the manifestation field, and it will affect others. Okay, so on another level of manifestation, to manifest in a way that is compassionate means to come into the 0 point and to not be afraid, because the reason why we want to know is because we want to prepare, right? We want to be prepared. We think we're going to be prepared. The more we know, we're going to be prepared. It's actually the opposite. The more you are in alignment with the present moment, in the present moment, you are more prepared, because you actually are receiving the downloads of what will happen, and even ahead before they happen, so that you can regulate your nervous system throughout that process. But if you exist in a state of curiosity based in fear of not surviving, your entire field is creating the manifestation of dense energy of creation. And it will pull more into the human experience, those kinds of things. Okay? And I've seen that. I'm sure you've seen that in your own life, and you see it in this lifetime. When we're afraid of, getting into a car accident, what happens? We end up getting into a car accident. That's the level of manifestation. Thankfully, in this universe, things are slower than other ones. When you get into other universes, you have to watch out what you think and what you feel, because it happens right there. So we're pretty young. Yeah, so just that. Okay. Jason, thank you so much. Aquarian of Swords. Great to see you. Put your questions in capital letters, please. Sorry, you have so many beautiful comments, my loves. It's so hard to see the difference. So please put them in capital letters, okay? Let me see. Any more questions? And I will read your questions after. So when did you have an alien baby? David asked. So yeah, David, I talk a lot about this in several documentaries that I've been in. You can check out Extraordinary, the Seeding. And it's not so simple as you stated there. In reality, we're creating on many dimensions, okay? And so a lot of people in this world that have intuitive abilities and are waking up consciousness already have a multidimensional vision. They begin to have snippets of memories of bringing life to beings that are both interdimensional, are human genetic and another species of some kind. So we wake up consciousness in the middle of a dream, of a life experience, to something that is already began a long time ago. And we just becoming aware of it now in this present moment. So again, time is spherical, but for us to understand, I'm saying it in this way. And so when we recover the memories of having had those kinds of experiences, it can affect our human body and the physical. Okay, so then we begin to recover the memories of having had children or having been taken on board craft. And so there's thousands of women and men around the world that have these recollections of the memory. Okay, but essentially it's to understand that we are creating on many dimensional planes in many different ways. Just as I've mentioned with our thoughts and our emotions, our biology, our DNA is very interesting. It's multidimensional and it's creating life on many planets. Okay, so topic for another time. Maria says, sometimes I feel asleep during our meditations. Is that dangerous? No, never. So if we're sleeping a lot, it means that we have either a lot of unresolved emotions that we haven't cleared. The solution to falling asleep in meditation is clearing your energetic field. Okay, so clean your energetic field. Remember, we wipe this field down. Also, if you have a lot of trauma in your life and you're not used to dealing with your emotions, you're going to check out. Okay, so feeling emotions, witnessing those emotions, feel uncomfortable, you're not going to want to be in your body because your body doesn't know how to handle emotions in your body. So come ground yourself. You need to be more grounded. Sit with a straight spine. Don't be so comfortable in your meditation that you're going to fall asleep. Meditation is a very alert state of being. So you have to be in a state of observation of your body. So have a very straight spine. Put the tongue in the roof of your mouth, up, connect to the roof of your mouth, ground yourself, focus on observing your body, your emotions, and hold space for yourself, basically. Be present with the space that you're holding for yourself. Okay? All right, guys. Love you so much. Thank you, Luke. So much love to you, and I will see you soon. All my love. Oh, hold on. I'm so sorry. I missed my chat questions in the Zoom. I got you guys. Jasmine says, hello. Colleen says, with regard to empathy, how is it possible for that itself to be fractured? I understand on some level, but could you please give a deeper example? Thank you, Colleen. So, yes, how we can be fractured. Yeah, that's a really large topic, and I do have some videos on my channel on that topic, but I will answer it kind of short, Colleen, and then I'll go into that deeper, okay? So because we are energy and we're light, imagine when white light goes through a prism, it fractalizes into spectrum of red, blue, orange, green, yellow, purple, all the colors, right? That is how we function. So anytime that we experience the unknown, interruption in how you are moving energy through your body and around your body and projecting it into your environment, you experience a disassociation, okay? Because you're experiencing an unknown, you don't know how to respond. That's a huge energetic shift in your energy. So what happens in that is that a fragmentation occurs. The part of you before the event and the part of you after the event becomes split. Okay, because there's no communication emotionally, energetically, physically. There's a miscommunication, mind, body, and soul. The three energy centers of the body become disconnected in that moment. So that's trauma. So in that moment, essentially, we create a very dense point of energetic memory of the whole body, because of that drop of frequency creates a point in your energetic space, and it becomes a reference point. And if we reinforce, usually what ends up happening with trauma, we reinforce that same neural pathway in order to avoid it, to resist it, because if in that moment we take a moment to go into what happened to us, we can heal from the trauma immediately and open up the pathways of energy. But most of us don't have that in our practice, and we're not present. So the invitation is if we sit with that emotion in that moment and hold space for it, we can open a channel of communication. So what happened to you? What were you feeling? What did you need? Expanding your perception from a myopic vision of unknown in that moment. And the fractalized aspects of yourself can be reintegrated. So if you can imagine, we have thousands, maybe millions of these points of reference, fractalized aspects of ourselves since childhood, right? Since the womb even. And so the invitation is to reintegrate this, which means to broaden the spectrum of frequency, emotional frequency that was created by those fractal aspects of ourselves. We just expand and regather, reintegrate these fractals of ourselves, okay? So in this lifetime, we also get fractalized not only in the emotional body, but in our creation. When we have a child, it's a fractal of ourselves that goes into the child. And in the bigger picture of things, in the reincarnation cycle, our children become a fractal of ourselves that is still in this dimensional plane, even when we pass on. So this is how we become deeply interconnected through the genetic code. And again, we're one, but we are always deeply connected to that. That essentially makes up our ancestral lineage. Also, we think of our ancestral lineage made up of many individual humans that we've never met. But in reality, all of those ancestors are fractals of ourselves because, again, we are one, okay? It's a deep, complex topic. I would love to explain a little deeper, but I will give you that explanation for now. Jasmine says, hello, thank you for today. Very expansive, wonderful. I have gotten 2 massive headaches on the top of my head when going deep into my intuition self recently that had something to do with sharing my truth. That's been difficult to do in the past. I'm intuiting this is blocked crown and/or is happening for me to pay attention to something that caused pain in the past. What are you intuiting with this? Well, so funny that you're talking about this because just yesterday I was doing a meditation in which I remembered that when I first began to open my third eye for the first time, which means I tried and I experimented feeling comfortable with my intuition, I used to get very strong headaches, pressure here in the forehead, and even had to come to a point where I would tap it here or massage it here. I would feel like I would need to massage it here as a result of that meditation. So this is a very natural effect. And in my intuition classes, I have this all the time. People are opening their intuition and they start to get scared because they start to feel a pressure here. So, we're very much, your intuition is not just a made up thing. It's very much a biological part of yourself. And you're going to feel it in different parts of yourself when you begin to work. The invitation is do not be afraid of the headaches or the pain. It simply means that we need to continue. At first, I would meditate to the point incrementally, the pain would get stronger and stronger. And then I thought, oh my God, I'm going to pass out here. No one's going to find me here in the room meditating by myself. And I was scared. And, after I went out looking for answers, nobody was really talking too much about that. I decided to be brave and to see what would happen if I just kept going. And here's what would happen is that the pain would get very intense. But when I started to relax my abdomen and ground myself and work with the first 3 chakras, especially shrinking them, this immediately went away. And I began to expand my vision, okay? And those of you that meditate understand what I mean when you're in meditation state and you begin to expand your third eye vision. It literally feels like you're expanding a range of perception. It's like this incredible expansion. It's like your sides of your head open up, and that's because we have ventricles. We have 4 ventricles from the pineal gland that expand out through the head. Okay, so as you develop that, it's like your hearing becomes more fine-tuned, your breathing becomes fine-tuned, all of your senses come online in that moment. So it's like you're moving the cobwebs of a system that you have not been connecting to. Okay, so breathing is going to be very important to try to bring some nice oxygenation into your bloodstream and your brain. The exercises bringing oxygen into the brain and calming, regulating the nervous system is also really important. So yeah, there's a lot of things that we could look at. Yes, I felt you would know how to manipulate my energetic system to mitigate this. Been at this for a long time. Awesome. Excellent. So try to move beyond that. Yes, it is. It is mostly the third eye. The crown doesn't hurt so much when we're not connected, which is interesting because the crown is really I mean, it's super important because it's like your center of manifestation and creation. Okay. So, I mean, there are more complicated diseases that people get when they don't connect with their crown long term. But it's definitely your third eye. Okay. But, open up your chakras now that you know. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Love you. And I will see you soon. Bye.